When we're talking about re-entry and how this world really works, we're talking about the dreaming of all beings, which then causes 6 aspects to group together quite naturally and spontaneously. And they become part of the experience of this reality when you start using your body. Now, in the slave cycle version of this reality, you're just one identity that goes from new body to new body. If you really think about it, it can't possibly be that way. And if you look in nature, you will see that this never, ever happens. Life is not a linear procession of moments, but it is presented to you that way through your senses by the slave cycle. And slowly this will break up more and more, and that's why life is getting so crazy and nothing makes sense, because it is starting to take on that more spiralic and unlimited nature of reality, which is how this universe actually works. And we're seeing it still in some areas, a smaller subset of our reality, through the lens of that slave cycle and those processions of moments that are fixed in a linear line. And everything starts to appear back to front and inside out, because it all keeps breaking up and we can't hold on to the logic of it anymore. When that happens, it is a sure sign that what holds that slave cycle in place is breaking apart. And then what you start to see in your reality is the hooking on influence that's got nothing to hook onto anymore tries to grab on again and give you a new system that's the same old one, but even worse, with more control and more linearity. And that's exactly what we're seeing amongst the crazy makers in this world right now. But because it's all happening in this overall momentum of unlimitedness, where the bandwidth for that slave cycle is dividing out and disappearing, you know that that attempt to replace that slave cycle with an even worse version, however scary it looks, it can't possibly be successful unless you go along with it. You decide. The being of love always decides the fate of the slave cycle. Not the forces of darkness or all those horrible things out there that are bad and evil. It's an appearance. They don't have that power unless you hook onto it and go along with it. That's what happens when we re-enter reality. We jump back in to this world from the perspective of the pure love presence, commanding and steering this reality. We reset everything, including that slave cycle, and it all breaks up. That's a death of something permanent and fixed. And everything that is permanent and fixed must go into dissolution. That's how it works in nature. So, sticking to doing the right thing, choosing, deciding, using your natural ability to purify, to keep on resetting this reality. And then that future positive and this now positive will be all that we experience.